First Holmes was born, then he got fat, bald, and tired. What's up, Holmes?
I wanted to ask you why you think the Hunger Games is such a big deal. I have a theory, but since this is a show where I talk to people who are nice enough to come on, I don't want to just talk the whole time. So, do you have, do you have a thought about it? Why do you think it's such a big deal?
I have a couple of theories, but they're based on my taste, which definitely is weirder and different from a lot of other people's. But for me, like, it's a story that has consequences, but is accessible still. So you don't always have accessible storytelling where choices that characters make in the story actually matter in the long run.
Okay.
And there are choices that characters make in the Hunger Games that are like a big deal. And so if you're into like hardcore serial fiction in graphic novel form or like weird TV show form, like that's not a weird thing. Like we're used to that. Like Battlestar Galactica is just that forever. And that's what I don't care that Battlestar Galactica has spaceships in it. Like what I care is like somebody decides to do something. That matters. They don't flip-flop on it the next episode.
Right.
And these books felt like that a lot to me. Like, yeah, there's like teenage pageantry and like love triangles and things, but the decisions that are made are not trivial decisions. They're kind of life and death decisions that have these huge consequences. And that to me that's awesome storytelling, period. And I don't think anybody reads the Hunger Games and goes, finally some consequences. But I think that's one thing that's gripping. Like if the author follows through on the promise of like, you know, this is for real, that's really compelling. And I think there's another thing going on, which is the author saves the violence for later. So like the normal way you would do an action story is you would start out, you know, like a Mission Impossible movie opening where like 40 people die and there's at least 30 explosions in a 2-minute span to really get people like, wow, you know. And Hunger Games almost starts out more like a grim fairy tale or something. It's just sort of like orphans in the woods kind of a setting. And and so you it reminds me of The Orphanage a little bit, the Spanish horror movie.
Oh, that's a bummer.
It's a total bummer, but they did kind of the same thing where it's an author using one kind of story to make connections between you and the characters in the story, and then changing it up.
Oh yeah,
that's something that I think is super effective. So she has this kind of like teen love triangle thing, and you're sort of like, oh whoa, I'm inside her head. I understand what the different characters feel, and then it's like, oh my god, they're all gonna die.
The juxtaposition.
Sort of like we're gonna use kind of horror movie cliches to kind of get you to be worried about the main character, you know, surviving the story, but then, you know, we're gonna twist it and turn it back into a family drama kind of thing.
Right.
I really like
and they're both stronger for it.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody is reacting to that stuff consciously when they read and enjoy the books. And maybe they're just, with all these things, there's like the right thing at the right time. You know, Canabalt was that. If Canabalt didn't come out when I made it, somebody was going to make a catchy auto runner within the next year. Like without it. It was just in the public consciousness, I think.
I think you're selling yourself short, as you might expect.
I think it turned out really cool.
Sure.
I don't
there's
think people...
more to it than that. Like what you just said about Hunger Games actually reminds me of Canabalt, because Canabalt is accessible. It's simple to pick up, but your choices, your moment-to-moment choices, have instant consequence. Either you jump through a window and pull off this incredible action move, or you're instantly dead. But you're not so badly punished. It's a serious consequence because you cared about how far you could get, but it's not so damning that you can't just pick it up again. So
so I guess my bias toward storytelling and experiences probably shows there a little bit.
Well, no, it just defines you as an artistic thinker, sir. So you're not just doing it for the money. This is really how you think, and it comes across.
I had real jobs before I did this. Like if the goal was to make money, like I could go get a job where I didn't have to freak out all the time over whether what I was doing was really, you know, the best thing for the project or whatever.
But I was going to say before that to me, art and craft is the difference between art is like making out with a girl without even like thinking about it. Like your brain isn't even on. You're just like, oh, I'm into it. Yeah, I'm in. And craft is like cycling in your head. Like, well, I read in the book about how to make out with girls that you're supposed to do exactly 3 rotations with the mouth. And hopefully when those two come to, what, say that again?
Do they have books like that?
I think they have books like that. Either that or I just dreamt it up when I read it. But combining those two, if you're going to have to make out with 10,000 strangers in a row, probably using a little bit of your passion for the art and using what you think works in general for other human beings, putting those together.
I mean, I think you want to the temptation to. I would think of it almost in a way like it sort of affects the amount of risk that you can take.
Right. Because art is where the risk often is.
Yeah,
right.
and I think it's not that big a deal. I think if you think about who your audience is and you think about what is the core of the thing I want to make, and can that relate? What size audience do I think that can relate to? And you might get it wrong, but you can use that to adjust to that kind of, the kind of risk that you might be expecting or something like that. But like if you make a movie that takes a lot of risks, it deviates a lot from the core things that people love, sometimes that's going to be a big hit. Like I don't think anybody really anticipated Lord of the Rings being this like juggernaut, because it's kind of a niche interest in a lot of ways.
Sure, it's well known.
But I didn't expect Canabalt to become some kind of crazy juggernaut that actually resonated with people either, because I put a lot of nerdy stuff in there. There's a lot of like Half-Life 2 DNA in there. There's a lot of like very specific retro video game stuff. There's this kind of parkour thing, which is is still not mainstream at all. Like, my parents wouldn't know what parkour is.
I sort of know. That's like freestyle walking, right? Kind of.
Yeah, it's like philosophically, it's about the shortest distance between 2 points may include going over things.
Oh, okay. I had no idea it was that detailed. I thought it was guys just jumping on things and falling down.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of that. Like, I don't want to say it's a whole Zen thing. Like, a lot of it is like, whoa, backflips are rad, but there's something like a little bit lower down in it too, which is kind of cool. But like I said, like that's not like a mainstream piece of knowledge or anything. But that's stuff that I think is cool and that I put into the thing, and it was the right thing at the right time, and it went bananas. But,
well, I like to think that mainstream is eventually created by people who put a genuine idea out there, and oftentimes people gauge whether an idea is genuine by if it's just following the script for profit or whether it's something that someone would only do if they really meant it. Like when rap music got started in the 70s, there was no like, oh, everyone loves rap music, this is going to get us rich. They really did it because they took the tools they had and tried to express themselves genuinely. Yeah. And that can blow up if it's, like you said, at the right place in the right time. And Canabalt, I saw as an example of that. You weren't following the script for profit with Canabalt,
No, there was money had nothing to do with it. It was like, oh crap, I only have one weekend to make a thing. Well, it better be awesome.